the entire history of the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas. Before we get into it, I just want to say that this is going to be a bit different from my usual videos. The reason being that there isn't much about pre-Columbian America that I actually know. It was located in what is now central and southern Mexico, and it was created by the union of two previously warring Mesoamerican societies, the Acolhua and the Tepaneca. This union was sparked by a prophecy which foretold the coming of a new ruler who would unite all of Mesoamerica under the rule of the Mexica people. And boy, did they ever unite everyone. By the end of the empire's existence, over 25 million people lived within its borders. The empire's vast network of canals allowed for easy transportation of goods and produce. As a result, Tenochtitlan was one of the largest producers of food in the Americas. Trade was very important to the Aztecs, and they had established networks throughout Mesoamerica and even further afield. They traded goods such as obsidian, cacao, feathers, and textiles. They are known for their impressive cities, art, and architecture. The Maya were organized into small city-states, each ruled by a king. Each city was self-sufficient and independent, although there were times when some of them would unite against a common enemy. That makes the Aztecs the most populous empire in pre-Columbian America and one of the most populous empires in the world during their peak. They didn't have a standing army either, but instead relied on a militia force that could be called upon in times of war. They also kept domesticated animals, including dogs, turkeys, and pigs. This road system allowed for easy transportation of goods and communication throughout the empire. They used a system of labor called mita, in which subjects were required to work for the state for a set number of days each year. The Inca also had a state religion, with the emperor considered to be a descendant of the sun god. They worshipped a variety of gods, including Inti, the sun god, and Pachamama, the earth mother. The Inca believed that the king was the son of the sun god and had divine authority to rule. The Inca also built impressive stone structures, including the famous Machu Picchu. Francisco Pizarro, who was motivated by greed and a desire for power, executed the last Inca emperor Atahualpa, and the empire was dissolved. The Spanish also enslaved many of the Inca people and forced them to work in their mines and plantations. The Inca were master builders, and their structures are a testament to their engineering skills. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please like and subscribe so I can keep making more videos like this. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Trade was important to the Maya, and they traded goods such as obsidian, jade, and pottery throughout Mesoamerica. The Maya were also skilled merchants, and many of them traveled to other regions to sell their goods. The Maya were skilled mathematicians and astronomers. They developed a sophisticated calendar system and were able to accurately predict eclipses. The Aztecs were polytheistic and believed that the world was created through the sacrifices of the gods. They worshipped a variety of gods, including Huitzilopochtli, the god of war, Quetzalcoatl. The god of knowledge. The Maya believed that the world went through cycles of creation and destruction, and that their duty was to live in harmony with the natural world in order to keep the world in balance. There are a number of theories as to why this happened, but it is likely due to a combination of factors, including drought, overpopulation, and warfare. It was located in what is now Peru and parts of Bolivia, Ecuador, Chile, and Argentina. It was founded by the Inca people and expanded through a combination of military conquest and diplomacy. The Inca reached the height of their power in the 1400s under the reign of Pachacati. Whatever the reason, the Maya cities were abandoned and the civilization as a whole began to fragment into smaller chiefdoms. Human sacrifice was a part of their religious practices, but it was not as widespread or common as in the Aztec Empire. And the arts, and Tlaloc, the god of rain and fertility. Human sacrifice was an important part of their religious practices, and they believed that it was necessary to keep the world in balance. They would often capture enemy warriors in war and sacrifice them to their gods. Some historians argue that human sacrifice was actually a relatively small part of Aztec religious life. However, it still left quite an impression on the Spanish conquistadors who wrote about it extensively. I mean, I've heard about the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas, but I couldn't tell you anything more than their names and maybe one or two associated facts. Despite being outnumbered, Cortés and his men were able to defeat the Aztecs and conquer the empire. One factor that contributed to the Aztecs' downfall was the introduction of new diseases to which they had no immunity. Smallpox, measles, and bubonic plague killed millions of indigenous people. Another factor was the Aztecs' lack of a written language, which made it difficult for them to communicate with the Spanish. The Spanish were also more technologically advanced, which gave them a military advantage over the Aztecs. Cortés's conquest of the Aztec Empire is considered one of the most significant events in world history. It marked the beginning of the Spanish colonization of the Americas and had a profound impact on the course of world history. So, let's just see how this goes. The Aztec Empire lasted from 1473 to 1521. The empire's capital city, Tenochtitlan, was an island city in Lake Texcoco. Because of its prime location, the city became a hub of trade, culture, and religion. The Huitlatani had absolute power and was considered a god-king. Below him were the nobles and priests, followed by merchants, artisans, and commoners. Slaves were at the bottom of the social hierarchy and could be bought or sold like property. There wasn't really a system of serfdom like in medieval Europe, but some commoners were tied to their land and had to pay rent in the form of labor. Its main temple, the Great Temple of Huitzilopochtli, was dedicated to the god of war and was considered one of the holiest sites in the Aztec Empire. At the city center sat a canal-filled plaza surrounded by palaces, markets, and the Templo Mayor. The canals were not only used for transportation, but also served as a way to keep the city cool in the hot climate. Canals are pretty cool. We have them here in Venice. They're great. You can fit a lot of stuff in canals. Aztec society was highly stratified with the king or Huitlatawani at the top. The economy of the empire was based on agriculture, with maize, beans, and squash being the staple crops. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Aztec Empire is its religion. In 1519, the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés arrived in the Aztec Empire with a small band of soldiers. Now on to the Maya. The Mayan civilization flourished in the Yucatan Peninsula and parts of Central America from around 2000 BC until the 17th century AD. The Maya kept no slaves, and their society was egalitarian compared to other Mesoamerican cultures. The Maya economy was based on agriculture, with maize, beans, squash, and cacao being the staple crops. Religion played a central role in Mayan life. They worshipped a variety of gods, including Itzum, Na, the creator god, and Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god. Around 900 AD, the Maya civilization began to decline. The Inca Empire lasted from the 12th century to the 16th century. Unlike the Aztecs and Maya, the Inca did not have a writing system, but they did have a sophisticated road system that connected their vast empire. The Inca had a centralized economy, with the emperor controlling the distribution of goods and services. In the 1500s, the Inca Empire was conquered by the Spanish conquistadors. So that's the entire history of the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas in 3 minutes.